Hey, I'm Patty Wilson, host of Patty's Playhouse and co-host of Patty's Playhouse, the radio show that airs in Tallahassee, Florida on Real Talk 93.3. We do podcast the show, so you can always listen to it on any of your favorite podcast formats. The other day, Thursday, I got a call from a gentleman who said he was from Bank of America. The call had come through like 3 or 4 times, so I didn't know if it was a client somewhere out of town or someone wanted to buy. I generally, as a real estate broker, have to answer most calls. It's just the nature of the business, right? So I answered the call, and it was from a 212 number, which is New York, New York. And the gentleman identified himself from Bank of America. Now, how shall I show? What do you say? Like, the ID on the phone doesn't say Bank of America. It only says New York, New York, and it's a 2.1.2 parenthesis. I got a recording removed by YouTube, so I have to think of a different way to say a series of digits because they might be identifying. However, this guy called, he identifies himself as a Bank of America, and he's confirming purchases and my credit. He wants to confirm me because he says to me that someone in North Carolina had applied for a Bank of America card under my name. It's legit. My name's Patricia Wilson. And they wanted to transfer a balance in my name. So they were applying for a card, which the way he stated it implied they received the credit card in my name. And I'm okay. And then they want to transfer the balance, and he was calling to verify whether I was Patricia Wilson or they were Patricia Wilson. And I continued. I kept him on the phone for quite a bit of time. He then went on to say, and this is the scary part, my man went on to say that he knew every credit card I had, every single one. He knew the last 4 digits of my social. He knew the first 4 digits of every single card I had. Every single one. Every single one. So while he was on the phone with me for about 27 minutes, I was in this office and I was, how shall I say? I was going on every website as he told me which credit cards I had, and I was canceling or freezing or blocking. And I had to go on to FICO and freeze my credit. I had to go to Experian, TransUnion, freeze the credit cards. Then I had to go through while he's on the phone with me and cancel all of them. He said I made a purchase on eBay for like 10 laptops. It could have been legitimate, to be honest. I love me a laptop. And then the person was in North Carolina. I'm like, well, what was the person's name? And he goes, well, it was Patricia Wilson. I was like, okay, fair play. I was just trying to catch him through this minutes upon minutes of a call. Then he's like, I need you to speak to the credit reporting agency. And I said, okay. And he transferred me in like milliseconds to this gentleman. And this gentleman's name was Jason Brown. The first gentleman's name was Daniel Davis. And trust and believe, neither of their names were really those. They had to be outsourced. They gave me a case ID. They gave me their employee IDs, which, let's face it, they wanted me to repeat the spelling of their last name. So they were trying to be very accurate and professional and make sure I heard them. They asked me why I wasn't scared, that I didn't sound scared. Well, dude, what you're doing isn't real, so I'm going to just go along with it, but you knew too much, so I now have to change everything. Again, because my last name is Wilson. So he transferred me to this guy named Jason Brown. And Jason is with Credit Experian. Now, meanwhile, there was no hold and transfer, right? There was a little bit of and then a transfer. So they were sitting right next to each other. Jason gets on the phone and he said he's with Credit Experian. And I honestly did not understand the company name that he originally gave me. And I said, what do you mean Credit Experian? Because it's not a Credit Experian, it's just Experian. And he says, well, we are the credit bureau. And I said, okay. And I said, is that how you learned all of my social security number and my credit cards? He said, yes, we are the credit reporting agency. I said, okay. He said, we must find out how much money you owe, and then he was going to give me an 80% discount on the money I owe. Well, no, you're not. I said, well, how would Experian, who doesn't hold anyone's credit cards, there's no Experian credit card, at least to my knowledge, how are you going to give me a discount on what I owe when I didn't buy anything and those cards are protected? He said, well, we just are. Meanwhile, we're like 26 minutes into it. I had canceled all my cards. I felt pretty safe at the time. And I said, okay, well, I don't trust this call right now. I'm going to hang up and call back. And the phone went silent, right? So I get off the phone. I had a call from a tenant, so I had to answer that. And then I called back, and he answered. I mean, it wasn't like, if you ever tried to call Experian, have you ever tried to call a credit bureau? I had a situation in February 1st, 2020, where I woke up to a text message saying I had died. American Express had reported me dead. It took over a year to fix this federal offense, because it is a federal offense. They must have some sort of paperwork showing you're dead before they can flip that switch and say that you're dead. Of course they didn't. So I had attempted and worked around and researched, it made me a much better researcher, researched how to get a human at any of these three reporting agencies that American Express reports to. It was the one out in San Francisco. So I finally got a human on the phone who really didn't want to talk to me, but he did. And eventually, after about a year and a half, and thinking I was just going to go to federal court to get this fixed, my credit score at that time was an 8. So I've been kind of protective of my credit since. It's not an 8 anymore, and I'm no longer dead. However, I did refuse to pay 1 cent to American Express. So they eventually wrote that off, and I was like, I don't even care, because I'm not paying you, and I'm never getting another credit card from you. They had nothing. They would do nothing. They literally would do nothing. I had to contact the Consumer Financial Protection Board, the CFPB, and that's who in the end fixed it for me. There's probably 100,000 people, I think more now, in the United States that are reported dead by credit card companies, and nothing is ever done. They have to go to federal court to get it fixed and be realived. I wasn't dead. My credit was. I don't know why it happened. They reported to the CFPB that they had received documentation of my death. Now, at that time, my mother was still alive and my father was still alive. So I don't know how or what documentation. I could not find another Patricia Wilson in the United States who had died the previous 2 to 3 months. And I have my name on a Google alert so that if something happens to me or my name, I'm aware of it. I know what happens. Eventually it all worked out. So when this guy calls and has all of that data, I mean, he knew the first 4 digits of every credit card I have. And I have a lot of store credit cards, or did. I had a lot of store credit cards. I was like, damn, this is impressive. Apart from the illegality and the fact that they sounded so good up until they didn't, the credit Experian, it's impressive. It's impressive to be able to know all of that about just some woman sitting in Tallahassee, Florida. I have no idea how they did it. I have no idea what they thought they were going to get from me, because they wanted to discount me. I'm sure I had to pay a fee to get the discount of the 80% of the credit card that, to be honest, had no balance. So I'm not quite sure how that was going to work. How you can give 80% of nothing, but I pay you for it. I didn't get that far, so they didn't really ask me for money. But I learned a lot. I mean, they sound so clear until they mess up. And unfortunately, kind of got to keep them on the phone long enough to get to that point. I don't know that a lot of people keep them on the phone that long or even are curious about keeping on the phone. I'm in school for a cybersecurity degree, so it was a little bit more interesting to me to carry on the conversation than it would be to some people. They would just want to get off the phone. But I really wanted to know what they knew about me, and unfortunately, they knew a lot. They knew a lot. So keep your ears peeled and keep your parents. Like if you're watching this and your parents are elderly, it is so easy to get the ransomware on your computer because you believe that that happens. It is so easy to answer a phishing email. It is so easy to hear this calm, cool, collected, we're going to take care of you. Your credit is protected. He just kept saying protected over and over and over. And I was like, this is so good. I should have recorded it, but I didn't want a felony on my part because I felt like as soon as I told him I was going to record him, which in Florida, it's a two-way street in recording. He didn't say his side was recorded, which I'm sure it was. But I thought I didn't want a felony, so I didn't record it. But my goodness, like it was so clear and calm. And I bet if I dialed the number right now, he would answer. Let me try.
No routes found.
Aw, the number's gone. But I did call him back, and we had a little chat, a couple minutes. So now the phone number doesn't work anymore. Fascinating. So be on the alert. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I want everyone to be aware when they answer the phone, what can happen. And if you are secure that you're not giving out personal information to someone, make sure that you stay on the phone a little bit longer just to find out what they know about you so that you can, as I did, click and delete. Like I changed every password. I canceled every card. I'm cardless. Absolutely cardless right now and happy about it. I'm happy that they called and just didn't find out the rest of the digits, right? So anyway, happy New Year. Enjoy yourselves. Stay dry. Don't drink and drive, please. Don't drink and drive. It's probably not even you, it's the other freaks on the road. But be alert and have a great New Year. Thanks.